and you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Good morning and welcome to the morning show here on Tobago Updates Television. It is Tuesday, 7th January 2025, and we're coming to you live from the Port Mall here in Scarborough, Tobago. I am Adana Kumbi. This is the day that the Lord has made, and we will rejoice and be glad in it. What a beautiful day, of course, to be in the land of the living, and a beautiful day to be coming to you, whether you're in your homes, in your vehicles, whether you're taking an early morning run and you have your earbuds in listening to us this morning. It is indeed a pleasure to be coming to you and bringing you information as it relates to things happening in and around the Tobago. It's always indeed a pleasure. We thank you so much for choosing us and for making us your number one choice for morning show here in Tobago. Before we get into all our conversations this morning, we head on over to the news in 90 seconds.
Thank you, Adana. Here is your news in 90 seconds for Tuesday, January 7th, 2025. Opposition leader Kamala Persad-Bissessar criticized the announcement of Stuart Young as Dr. Keith Rowley's successor, calling it undemocratic. During a UNC meeting last night, she dismissed the decision as merely replacing one effective leader with another and likened it to the U.S. political scenario involving Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, predicting similar electoral defeat for the PNM. Persad-Bissessar also reiterated her earlier critique of Dr. Rowley's leadership, labeling his legacy as one of failure and division. She called for early elections, accusing the PNM of mismanaging the economy, exacerbating crime, and eroding public institutions, which she claims has pushed the country towards a state of chaos. Up next, at the end of a two-day parliamentary retreat in Tobago, Stuart Young, Minister of Energy and Minister in the Office of the Prime Minister, was selected to succeed Dr. Keith Rowley as party leader. Young expressed deep gratitude to his colleagues and Dr. Rowley for their trust and support during this pivotal transition. However, in a social media statement, Young reiterated his pride in the PNM and committed to working with all citizens of Trinidad and Tobago to shape the nation's future. Dr. Rowley confirmed his decision to step down, highlighting the caucus' unanimous backing of Young and ensuring a seamless transition leadership. And finally, political analyst Dr. Winfred James observed shifting dynamics in the PNM after Minister Stuart Young was endorsed by the parliamentary caucus to succeed Dr. Keith Rowley as Prime Minister. Rowley, who announced his impending retirement, views Young as a knowledgeable and articulate successor aligned with the PNM's agenda. Dr. Winfred James highlighted Young's role in strategic initiatives like positioning Point leases for Venezuela gas, but raised concerns about party-wide support. James also predicted potential ethnic tensions arising from the decision, signaling challenges for the PNM as it navigates this leadership transition. And that was your news in 90 seconds.
Thank you, Biana, for our news there in 90 seconds. And of course, hot off the press, the announcements coming there yesterday, right after the Prime Minister announcing that he is no longer, that he's not putting himself up for election again.
Yes.
And then announcing that the caucus of the PNM, they have selected Minister Stuart Young to be the Prime Minister. And, you know, of course, a lot of questions are raised there. How does this work constitutionally? Is it that he is the political leader? Because I believe the Prime Minister also said he's stepping away from politics, so he's no longer the political leader of the PNM. So is it they're going to have an internal election for a political leader, or is it Stuart Young automatically the political leader of the PNM? There are quite a few questions that need to be answered.
But based on my understanding, I believe it's the transition is that he's going to be the political leader. That's based on my understanding.
Okay, well, I'm waiting to see what the party itself has to say, and if they're going to put out any type of public education or awareness so that we, the layman, can understand exactly what is happening, because an announcement like this, of course, will have varying opinions. People, of course, would need to ask questions to get clarity to understand where we are going. And, you know, of course, Minister Penelope Beckles also in the running, of course, but Stuart Young winning the majority vote there. We'll see how it goes. Dr. Rowley is expected to step down before August this year, he said, before the next general election. So we're going to see how that is going to work and how Mr. Stuart Young is going to take on that role.
Yes.
So we wait with bated breath to see what is going to happen. What are your opinions and thoughts on the whole situation, Biana?
I believe we should just, sit it out and see how he operates, after the transition of taking over.
That's right. That's right.
Yes.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Biana Brebner, of course, bringing our news in 90 seconds there. Thank you so much for being on set with us this morning and bringing our news. Do have a wonderful day, Biana.
You too.
It's that time of the morning, ladies and gentlemen, for us to celebrate with all those who are celebrating. It's time for our birthday shout-outs. We're celebrating with Kurt. Kurt Chapman is celebrating a birthday today, and we say happy birthday to you, Kurt. We pray God's blessings upon your life, and we do hope that you have a wonderful, wonderful birthday today and a wonderful birthday season. So happy birthday to you. We also say happy birthday to Bert Boris. Bert Boris is celebrating a birthday today, and we say happy birthday to you, Bert, and we pray God's blessings upon your life, and we do hope that you have a wonderful, wonderful birthday today and the birthday season as well. Happy birthday to you. And of course, if you are celebrating a birthday, an anniversary, a promotion, or even your retirement, we say happy celebration to you. And we remind you to put God first, include Him in your celebration, for He is the reason that you have something to celebrate. And in the midst of life, we also have to speak about death. And today, the Victory Outreach Church is celebrating the life of the late Atiba Baraka. He passed over in the month of December, and he is being laid to rest today at the Victory Outreach Church from 10 a.m. And of course, we want to extend condolences to his family and friends, and we are inviting you to come and celebrate with us. He lived a life of service, a life of ministry, and we are celebrating him today from 10 a.m. at the Victory Outreach Church Tobago in Sangsters Hill there, and we do hope that of course he rests in peace and all of us find peace, the peace of God that passes all understanding in this loss. All right, so you might be wondering, who are we having conversations with this morning in studio? I can tell you that we start off the conversation by speaking with Mr. Braden Roberts, tutor Tobago, and we're talking about back to school readiness. Are Tobago schools ready for back to school? What was it like yesterday, and what is it looking like going forward? Then we speak with Dr. Ellis Boris, the president of the Roxborough Alumni, and we're talking about their association there as well. And of course, we have to wrap conversations up. We can't have conversations this morning, rather, without speaking about the Prime Minister's choice, or the PNM's choice, of Stuart Young as the next Prime Minister here in Trinidad and Tobago. We're going to have that conversation this morning with former Minister of Sports, Mr. Anil Roberts. We do hope, of course, that you could stay with us throughout the entire programming as we have those conversations this morning, as we go through the topics this morning. I want to spend some time this morning saying pleasant morning to all of you who are viewing us on our live stream this morning. We really, really appreciate you, and going into 2025, we look forward to your continued support, your continued comments, of course, your opinions on matters that we discuss right here in studio this morning. And we do hope that you could stay with us throughout the entire programming. Who is up next? Up next, we have Dr. Ellis Boris is up next. Why do I have my words twisted this morning? Dr. Ellis Boris, yes, my good friend, he's up this morning, and we do hope that you can join us in that conversation. So stay with us, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to go for a short break, and in the meantime, we invite you to help us share the live, share the live, share the live.
Delta Distributors Christmas special is here. Choose from our special meat packages at unbelievable prices. Perfect for your holiday feasts. Hurry, limited stocks. Order now. 11 pounds chicken, 5 pounds pork, 5 pounds turkey, 1 picnic ham, 1 liter pear jacks, only $500. Order now at deltechdistributors.com. Call or WhatsApp 359-5040 or 237-0102. Only $20 delivery or come into our main road Argyle store.
Join us this Thursday, January 9th at 5 p.m. for a special year in review program. We'll recap the significant strides made by the Division of Infrastructure, Quarries, and Urban Development. Hear directly from Assemblyman Trevor James and Assemblyman Terrence Baines as they discuss the successes, challenges, and future plans for Tobago's infrastructure. Don't miss this opportunity to learn more about the transformation of Tobago's landscape. Tune in live on Tobago Updates Television.
When the game is on, you don't want to miss the best moments. With Amplia TV, you can enjoy our ultimate sports package and watch your favorite games on the go. Stay connected and informed with sports news, scores, and stats with Amplia's fastest internet speeds. Up to 1 gigabyte fiber internet, you can stream riveting football action, cricket, NBA games, and much more. With Amplia, it's game on. Visit amplia.co.tt or call 800-4663. Amplia. Do more, live more.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Tobago Updates Television. I am Adana Kambi, and thank you so much for staying with us. We begin conversations this morning in studio. We're going to speak with Dr. Ellis Boris, and he is the president of the Roxborough Secondary School Alumni, and we're talking about what's happening there and, of course, the upcoming elections. Good morning and welcome.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning, Ms. McCombie, and it's a pleasure being here. I was here a few days ago, and I'm here again to deal with another matter which is relating to the Roxborough Alumni Association, where we are going to have election, and we want all the members to participate, and even we are encouraging persons who have not been registered to go forward and register. So we are having this election. The Alumni Association is an international body. We have members in the United States, we have members down in Trinidad, we have members in the United Kingdom. So therefore, it's a wide operation, and we want to make sure that all members participate. So they'll be voting online, and there will be walk-in voting, and the ballots will be counted, and the winner will be the president. We have eight offices to uphold, which is the president, the vice president, secretary, assistant secretary, treasurer, and I think 3 trustees. So that's the way we're going forward, and we want to make sure that Roxborough Alumni Association be a force to reckon with in the East, and to ensure that we have this election done in a most transparent manner, that all and sundry will be happy at the end of the election.
How long has the alumni, the association, been around? Are you able to say, or even an approximate a number of years that you've been in operation?
It's more than 20 years. We have been operating with a skeleton operation, and then almost time when we have activities or an event, that will come together and make sure the event become a success. It appears to me the people get weary after the events and they drift off into their own activities. But with this coming alumni, we are hoping that the alumni will be one that is constantly being vibrant, keeping the school in touch, and at least the past alumni, we were very helpful to the school in the time of COVID and other times when they have events. We participated and gave assistance, both maybe physical and financial. The alumni had also, we had a program where we could have gone back to the school, to persons who have been qualified to do academic work, to go and probably assist, because I used to be there teaching mathematics for free, because we know that we have challenge throughout with mathematics. So I would have gone there, and other members of the alumni have went and ensure that students are brought up to date and be on cura with things to ensure that they are successful in their examinations. So we hope that this new alumni, which is association, which is going to have its election coming up on the 15th of January, and we are encouraging all members, all alumni, as a matter of fact, to register. And there is a time for registration. We are hoping that by the registration closes on the 13th of this month, which is Monday. And we hope that all those who will want to vote become registered members. There's registration taking place online. So you go online, you can able to register, or you can walk in and register anytime between anytime up to 6 o'clock on the 13th of January, you can go and register. After that, the registration is closed. So all those members or persons who are registered can participate in the election, online or offline.
And is there an online address that they can get the registration from, or do you have a number they can call to get that additional information?
Well, if they call, probably Miss Melissa Reed may have that information. The number that is they have given me for Miss Reed is 263-8619. So I repeat, 263-8619. So you can call Miss Melissa McLeod Reed, that she can able to probably guide you as to what to do to enable yourself being registered and vote for the election.
And what are some of the things, I mean, you mentioned some of the things the alumni did in the past in terms of providing support, giving laptops and stuff like that. What are some of the projections you're looking at coming out of the elections, and some of the things you want to get involved in?
Well, right. I believe that because it is so wide, you can't just have a body here in Tobago. One of the things is that I think the new alumni should set up like chapters throughout, well, wheresoever is necessary, like New York or United States. We could have a chapter, because there are many past students living in the United States, and they are lucrative in their earnings, so they can able to pump some money into the coffers of the Roxborough alumni. But we really want to see a better operation with the alumni, and that as we know, as I was thinking about it, at one time we had even thought of doing like a bookstore, books and clothes for a uniform, and that the alumni will get associated, will get involved in things like that to produce the necessary things for the school, and you purchase your uniform and things like that. So we want to kind of make it like a university setting where you can go there, get your tokens and get your jerseys and things, and books, etc., notebooks and textbooks and things like that. If the alumni become stronger, which I hope will be, we can able to set up all those things, and then we will have events where we can invite various persons to participate and to get a stronger financial background to enable the strength of the Alumni Association to grow from power to power.
That sounds absolutely amazing. And, I do want to encourage persons there to come out, register and vote, because you have to be a registered member
to vote,
of the alumni to vote. And, of course, persons have already presented themselves.
We have the candidates right now going on, maybe until Monday. We have those persons who are putting up themselves, or people are selecting them to be president, vice president, secretary. So their nominations are taking place right now.
Right. So, of course, you have to come on out and be a part of, for me, I like to support anything that lends support to persons who provide opportunities for persons who do not have the opportunities that, they need, your school supplies and, even social activities. So, I want to join with you and the alumni. I wish you all the very best in the upcoming elections. I do hope that people, do register, whether it's online or in person. And I wish you the very best, a smooth election. And of course, as the association is formed again, they will continue their operations and give that measure of support in the eastern side of Tobago, and of course, becoming an example for others on the island of Tobago. So thank you very much. In closing, is there any additional information you'd like to share with our viewers?
No, I just gave you all the information. All the information is given, and we hope that those who have listened at this juncture will make a positive move to get themselves registered and to get themselves involved in the election process that is required to enable the officials of the executive of the Alumni Association to be activated, and the implementation process follows.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. We've been speaking with Dr. Ellis Boris, the president of the Roxborough Alumni Association. They are speaking on the upcoming elections, which takes place next Wednesday, the 15th of January. And of course, a call for all members to ensure you are registered by the 13th so that you can participate in the elections there. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to go for a short break. But guess what? Who's up next? Up next, we have Mr. Braden Roberts. He is the president of the Tobago chapter of Tutor Tobago, and we'll be talking about Tobago schools ready for back to school this morning. In the meantime, we have to go for a short break, and we invite you to help us share the live, share the live, share the live.
Want to get better? Where to start? What kind of exercise to do? What to eat? How to get restful sleep? Need a doctor to search for root cause? Look no further. Come to Majuba Hill Lifestyle Center Foundation at our Wellness Center in Goodwood, or Food Hub in Darrow Springs, Scarborough, or Doctor's Office in Goodwood and Darrow Springs. Contact 49 Swift 4979 438.
Guys, there are some new developments in housing in Tobago. So it's goat racing time. This is 116, the show that keeps you in the know with all things Tobago House of Assembly.
Each week, 116 delivers a fun and engaging overview of the latest developments, achievements, activities, and events of our dynamic assembly. So join me. Let's dive into the Tobago House of Assembly's Week in Review right here on 116.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Tobago Updates Television, and thank you so much for staying with us. We continue conversations this morning and we head on over. We shift gears a little bit. We're going to be talking about our schools here on the island of Tobago, and we speak with the president of the Tobago chapter of Tutor, Mr. Braden Roberts, as we talk about back to school readiness. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning and Happy New Year to your team and all of Tobago, and by extension Trinidad and Tobago. And by correction, it's Tobago Officer of Tutor.
Tobago Officer.
Yes, we have one president.
Okay, all right. Thank you for that there. And of course, Happy New Year to you as well. And, you know, we're going to get straight into the conversation. School reopened yesterday. Most schools reopened yesterday. And usually, I'd like to change things up a little bit. Usually, when we talk about back to school readiness, we're talking about the physical building of the school. But this morning, I want to talk a little bit about the preparedness of our teachers to accept the children back to school, in terms of have they been equipped with the things that they need, whether it be material and supplies or whether it be any type of education in terms of upgrade to their skills, as it were, to receive the children. I know a lot of things have happened. We're seeing things are evolving, the way children receive education, the way learning and teaching has changed. And I'm in a position, I'm now asking, do you think that our teachers are equipped enough to deal with the change in face of education?
Right, but even before I go to that, that question, the question that you are skipping, it's the first time in a very long time I haven't had a barrage of issues. In the physical, in the infrastructure of our schools. So if the division has to get their kudos there, I would give such. I have not heard the complaints as we usually receive. I know at the ending of last year, we would have submitted some stuff and the division indicated that they were going to do some work over the Christmas vacation. We haven't had complaints from our teachers since, so I believe the division would have done the needful, but we continue to listen out for any other instances where we need to relay that information to the division. Regarding teachers being prepared, well, it's the responsibility of the teacher, regardless of the insufficient availability of resources or the non-availability of resources, to be as prepared as they can be. We as a union, we try to encourage, motivate. We have, especially from the month of October, in the month of the teacher, we do a lot of sessions to work on the mindset of our teachers, the guidance, the advice, and so on. We have workshops in between time where we visit schools, team building, mental health. We do all those things as a union. So we take that responsibility, and teachers are to have that responsibility for themselves to be ready. We would always call on the division to ensure that the resources that they need, especially those that they would have worked for as their salary, that those things are on par as to where they should be. Because we have some teachers who haven't gotten increments for several years because the division don't have the funds to so pay. So we understand that the allocations for education, both in Trinidad and Tobago, it's never at the quantum required. And the headache is for the administrator to see how she can make the money work and so on. And then tutor will be there advocating for everything. Rightfully so. So we would hope that whatever transparency, whatever information that will come to the fore, that we'll be able to assist the division in advocating for greater releases. Tutor will work in that regard. If we don't get it, then we're going to advocate for our members to ensure that they get the just due. Resources, teachers for several years have been spending out of pocket for a lot of things. For example, you would have textbooks and so on, basic resources sent from the division. But when you have multiple intelligences in your class, there are things that you would have to get specific for a child. So some teachers, they go out, they buy their own printer because the photocopying machine in the school are working. They get their own devices. If you want to incorporate technology, you're not going to get all those things from the division. So they buy their own packages and so on to be able to assist with the students. They buy the specific textbooks, the manipulatives for the students to interact with. So that has been happening for several years. I do not foresee immediate change when you see the budget that is read every year. We're not seeing that education is being adequately allocated for. So mentally, I believe our teachers would be ready. The challenge is the economy is getting tough. The crime rates, the schooling discipline. There are a lot of elements in society that would lead to frustration. So we always call on our teachers to be as mature, as calm, because only when you are calm, you will make the right decisions. Right? When you're frustrated, anything can come out that you will soon regret.
And that might be so, but I want to piggyback off of that comment, because while we want the teachers to be able to manage and situations that they're probably not equipped or trained for, professionally trained for, and having to deal with children from all different backgrounds coming back to school we just came out of Christmas. I might come to school and say, look what I got for Christmas, where I went, what I did, and there might be a child or a few children in the class who didn't get anything, who didn't go anywhere, who didn't even eat a piece of cake. And of course, they're frustrated and they're acting out. Another teacher is here now having to balance this, like, okay, how do I bring that measure of calm? How do I bring back that balance into the classroom? Considering also the teacher might be thinking, I wasn't even able to buy a gift for my child as well. So the teachers, they have so many things to deal with in the classroom. And yes, remaining calm is probably the best approach, but it isn't always what happens in some instances, because as I said, they're not professionally trained to deal with these things. Is there anything considered to have teachers on a training program that helps them to deal with these types of things that arise in the classroom?
Coming from the division, I believe they do sessions sometimes July, August, a vacation. Unfortunately, that's the vacation time for teachers as well. Based on the responses, I do not think they have a good turnout for those workshops. However, tutor will do theirs. And schools can request whenever they want tutor to have a session with them and so on. We have a professional advancement committee that handles that. However, we also advise our members, any instance, any situation at your school, any time you feel like you're getting a little overwhelmed and so on, we reach out to the association so that we could be able to assist in that regard. The division also has elders associate contracted to do employee assistance program, where they have the counseling and so on for teachers who are in need of that and so on. Unfortunately, there is this stigma about counseling. So people feel you go to counseling because you're mad. And we encourage our teachers to utilize the program, because sometimes it's not the negative part of it. They will give you tips as to how you can avoid certain things. So it's not only when things get to the extreme where you seek help. So the employee assistance program is a good program where teachers who are in need of that kind of support, that kind of counseling and so on, that kind of guidance, they can have that access. And tutor also has their program where we would visit schools, or we have set locations where persons can come and have those kind of interactions. We have Zoom sessions as well. So we try our very best, because we understand that there is a high level of frustration around, not just in our schools, but in society, and that's where the crime is. The challenge for our teachers is the number of students who are not coping. And the system that we have caters for the students who can sit as I am sitting here, just calm and sit, hear the instruction and listen, give feedback. But there are those students who are more active, you know, they have a greater interest in football, they have a greater interest in fishing and so on. And we don't utilize their interest in teaching because we have a deadline by which we have to cover certain content. We have these high stakes exams and so on. So we have been talking with them for a very long time and it has not gone anywhere. The number of students who are failing us, they're entering society and then we are reaping the rewards of it. They're entering into that gang culture and so on pretty early because that's where they feel appreciated. Those students don't get a chance to be celebrated in school. They don't do well to the point where they would represent the school in anything. The only way they feel appreciated is when they're in that particular group that we don't want them to go to. So that's where the frustration is. We are, as teachers, we are fighting an uphill battle with all the children, right? So you can't even discipline the children. You can't put them out of class. They have to be in an area where they can see on the board. They can't be deprived of education. You can't shout at them, it's verbal abuse. Well, of course, corporal punishment has been abolished. And we have guidance officers that's supposed to assist in that regard. They are not resourced, so they are not as impactful as we want them to be. So we have been shooting ourselves in the foot for some years, and we are at this juncture where teachers have to just try their best while the association lobbies with the division for as much support as possible.
And you know, you're speaking there about all the things that have been withdrawn from the education system, which you're seeing the decline. Because I remember when I was going to school, you could get put out of class, you know, mind you, in an environment where you still remain safe and there's some measure of supervision. I think there was an area in front of the staff, front of the staff room where unruly children will go to stand and they will be there. So you're right in front of the staff room. You can't run away, and any teacher passing there could flog you. And of course, you don't want to be there. So you try your best to, you know, you try your best to be as compliant as possible. I understand now, as you were mentioning, there are some children who are hyper. They are hyperactive, hyper interested in other things rather than the classroom. The confinement of the classroom no longer works because they're otherwise stimulated, you know. And so we really, that conversation, we can't end it there. And I understand you're saying there's an uphill battle and you keep talking about it, but we have to talk until we have to break that glass ceiling, because our children, as you mentioned, they are suffering. They are getting the brunt of it. And now parents are having to cope with, what do I do? There's so many things happening in society that we have to face, and we just have to find solutions where it is concerned. I just want to shift gears a little bit now to talk about something a little bit lighter. I know, especially in the Tobago space, our teachers, when it's back to school, there are a few teachers who you just have to talk about when they enter the classroom is an experience for the children. And I want to say kudos to those teachers who think outside of the box, who use their innovation to ensure that the children feel welcomed when they come in. And, you know, I just want to encourage other teachers, in as much as it's stressful, try to lighten it up a little bit. You know, I know you have to dip into your pockets a little bit, Mr. Roberts, but we all have to work together. What do you think about the community that comes together to raise the child? You know, back then they used to say it takes a village to raise a child. Do you think our community is strong enough, our village is strong enough in raising our children?
I am not seeing the community at all. We would have had community leaders, but now community leaders have a different meaning now. The students are roaming our streets 11 o'clock in the night, 12 o'clock in the night. You've seen some young person seen on the corners where you will call the block, and so that could have never happened in years gone. The adults would not allow children to come and sit amongst them on the block and that kind of thing. Street lights would have been the signal to get inside. If you're a little older, you might have a little time after that before you get inside, but we allow our young ones. And it's difficult for the community to really play a role because you had disciplined people, children, like a long time. So parents would now say to you, don't hit my child. Don't talk to my child in that particular way. You know, they may come and give you a tongue lashing if the child come and complain about something you would have said. Before, you go home and say somebody discipline your girl next door at
That's
home.
right, that's right.
So we are not seeing leaders in community, those persons to me who have that cognitive ability and are forefront in certain things, they are battling their crease because they don't want to upset certain persons. Because it's not like you can correct persons and guide persons as easily as long time. You know, we have that stubbornness and we are becoming angry people, so it's difficult to even assist. However, we can't relent. The persons who have that ability to lead have to lead. I'm not seeing where we have many leaders stepping up in their community and so on. We are seeing some communities, even the village council is not as impactful as it should be. You know, sometimes when money gets into the mix, the focus shifts. So we need to have our village council up and active, and I think our area representatives should pay some attention to that to ensure each of our village councils are up and running, because we are not seeing where even like the homework centers and so on for those parents who either would not be at home at a particular time to help the child or believe that they don't have the ability to help the child. We need to have that. And just to touch on the teachers who are painting the classroom, decorating the classroom, getting all those things, the teaching is not for someone who's looking for a salary and a vacation. You won't last. Teaching is for persons who have that passion and that love for teaching, and we do things for our children out of the love. The reward is not so much a salary, you know, it's when you see how they become and they develop in society. Sometimes, even myself, when I go to the airport and I see some of my former students and so on, that's where the joy, that's where the reward is. So persons who really have that love for their country and love for their students will step up and do their best. And we don't have enough of that in our society today.
Very, very, very true, and I agree with you there. And I do hope that, you know, the community can come back together to where we used to be. It takes a village to raise a child, and, you know, each one teach one. You know, back then, as you mentioned there, when if you go home and you tell your mommy somebody raise their voice at you in tongue or somebody slap you, you know, you like, before you even get the explanation as to why they have to hit you, you get your one first, and then they're going to have the conversation if at all, you know. And so we want not necessarily that type of behavior, but to get back to a place where the respect for the elderly, respect for self comes back. Mr. Roberts, in closing, is there anything that you'd like to share with our viewers this morning?
Well, 2025 unfortunately has a series of elections, and I would want us to be focused as a people. So yes, you would have the political sides and so on, but if we take our attention only to politics of the thing, we're going to be distracted as a people. We have our young persons that we need to see about. We have our elderly persons we have to see about. We have our own personal development to see about. So I want us to be focused as a people. There are things that we need to address, especially in education. It's never about the politics. I think politics is supposed to be for election time like now, and then die off after election, and we could be focused as a people. And I think we did not get that chance over the last 4-year period. And even in our history, we tend to have a red jersey, blue jersey, yellow jersey throughout our whole lifetime. And I would want us to be focused. Our teachers, as the association, would lobby for all the things that the division owe you. We hope that you will be as focused as well and give our best to our students. And we feel our students, they will come back at us. And that's where my passion is in my job, because the students that we feel, we have to live among them as they become adults and so on. And they will become parents as well. And if they are not able to groom their children, we're going to have that cycle where it's always going to be that challenge. So I want us to be focused as a people towards the development of one another and not bringing down each other in what is likely to be a heavily political year.
Thank you so much, Mr. Roberts. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been speaking with Mr. Braden Roberts, the Tobago officer of tutor to Trinidad and Tobago, as we talk about our school system, Tobago schools, and where we are heading 2025 and beyond. Thank you so much for staying with us. We have to go for a short break before we continue conversations. And as we go, we invite you to help us. Share the live, share the live, share the live.
Join us this Thursday, January 9th, at 5 p.m. for a special year in review program. We'll recap the significant strides made by the Division of Infrastructure, Quarries, and Urban Development. Hear directly from Assemblyman Trevor James and Assemblyman Terrence Baines as they discuss the successes, challenges, and future plans for Tobago's infrastructure. Don't miss this opportunity to learn more about the transformation of Tobago's landscape. Tune in live on Tobago Updates Television.
Rotisserie, mouth-watering fries, salads, combos, and specials galore. Feeling for something to eat? Come and see. Our rotisserie is seasoned to the T. Kicking chicken, masala, and jerk roast. Crispy fries made from scratch. Who do you know can't beat that? Or salads freshly cut and packed. When you taste it, you'll be wanting to come back. So come check us out on number 2 Robinson Street, Uptown Scarborough, Tobago. We open on Saturday nights from 7:30 to 11:30 p.m. Monday to Thursday, we're open from 10 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. and on Friday, 10 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Contact us at 772-7443 and all social media handles at The Rotisserie Factory.
Delta Distributors Christmas special is here. Choose from our special meat packages at unbelievable prices. Perfect for your holiday feasts. Hurry! Limited stocks. Order now. 11 pounds chicken, 5 pounds pork, 5 pounds turkey, 1 picnic ham, 1 liter pear jacks, only $500. Order now at deltechdistributors.com. Call or WhatsApp 359-5040 or 237-0102. Only $20 delivery or come into our main road Argyle store.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Tobago Updates Television. It's just about 7:49 a.m. So, of course, if you're getting yourself to work for 8 a.m. and the children to school, yes, children are back to school this morning. You should be at your office now, or you might be a little bit late. But remember to be safe on our nation's roads. All right, this morning joining me on set, I have with me Biana Brebner. Yes, our news in 90 seconds, and my colleague here at Tobago Updates Television. And you know, there are so many things happening in the Tobago space, especially coming down to the end of last year and into this year. And we just want to touch a little bit on it. And Biana brought to my attention this morning, brought into the conversation this morning, that night vigil that was held for Zachary Lindo. And it's so unfortunate. You know, usually when you hear about young people dying by gun in the past couple of months, you're thinking about that they're up to trouble. They're in trouble. They're getting involved in things that they shouldn't be involved in. But this is a young man who went to work. He went to work and he was a delivery driver, and he got caught in crossfire there. You know, it's kind of disheartening to know that this is the space that we live in now, and I don't want to say that loosely at all, and I really want to hold the TTPS and all the other agencies, security agencies, you know, to account so that they could put these strategies in place. But it really was good to see the community coming together to lend that type of support to the family of that young man.
I think it's the area rep, Faith Brebner. She was there. You also had the Calypso, the soca Titan person verse. You know, so everybody was coming out to give their support in aid of the young chap.
And you know, it is good that the community can come together. And just in the recently conversation that I just concluded with the Tobago officer, we were talking about the community coming together. We were talking about the village that it takes to raise the child. And it's good to see that the village came out. But I want to speak to the village to not just come out for situations like this. That the village continues to come out and support our children. When you see somebody going off, pull them in, have a conversation with them, you know, and of course communities providing opportunities where young people can feel free to be themselves, to have self-expression, to be a part of something that is meaningful. I mean, I know Zachary was not, may his soul rest in peace, was not involved in anything that we are aware of. But I'm just saying that the community should come together for more than instances like this. In this particular scenario, what stood out to you the most in terms of the community coming together?
The young persons coming out in support of that situation. You know, that they saying enough is enough. You know, we had enough of gun violence, you know, so having this candlelight vigil, it speaks volume. And as you said, the community coming out. We were even sort of having a conversation earlier on this year that you said, you know, communities can still have like little events, you know, so to keep that camaraderie, you know, even if it's that you see somebody going astray, you could talk to them in, you know, not a harsh tone, but a tone that will be understandable, knowing that you are serious about what you're saying, but still yet you have a friendly conversation going forward, you know?
And you know, there are some programs, there are things that we like to adopt from the Western world, and there are things that we can take, and there's some things we should leave. And one of the things I'm thinking about is like a Big Brother project, where men, especially in communities, can adopt a young boy or a young man, coach him, teach him things, how to change a tire on a car, how to change the oil, how to talk to a young lady, you know, how to keep himself looking good, smelling good, you know, taking care of himself. If we could have those things in communities across the island of Tobago, I feel as if we will see a change in face in the way things are being done right now. We were even talking about the fact that you respected your elders. Sometimes when I'm walking on the street and I say good morning, I get no response. And when I was coming up, I know every person you pass on the street, you had to greet them, whether it was good morning, good afternoon, good evening,
or
whatever.
Even if you enter a room, the first thing that comes out is
a pleasantry. You have to introduce yourself by saying good whatever time of the day it is, and acknowledging the people who you have met in that space. And now we're seeing that that is no longer happening, and nobody's been held accountable for it. I know from my parenting, I mean, those things couldn't fly. I distinctly remember one time coming home from school one afternoon, and this was in secondary school, Biana.
Yes.
I think I might have been in 4th form. And my mother put one hiding on me, what they call in England a hiding, a good licking. A good licking on me. I did not know what it was for. It was the following day when I went to school. I heard a rumor about myself that wasn't even true.
Oh boy.
But it got to her, and she was not tolerating that.
Right.
You know? And so I'm not saying that is the approach, but what I'm saying is the fact that parents were so alert. They ensure that the respect was there. They ensure they disciplined their children and taught them things that they needed to learn. And I want to see us getting back to that. And you see, for me, community events are very, very important.
Yes.
Because it now says that I can discipline your child as well.
Yes.
Because back in the day, somebody could have disciplined me on the street and come and tell my mother, well, I had to talk to your child yesterday. You know?
Well, I didn't get that kind of discipline, but we used to get an eye. That I used to say a lot.
But Biana, when you give those young people the eye, now they ask you what you're watching me so for. They're asking you why you're looking at me like that. You know, it's like they don't even understand the codes. And you know, another thing about the eye, when adults are talking and children are in the room and they give you that eye, that means you need to vacate.
Yes.
Now you're seeing the children sitting there, they're doing what they want, normal, they're just there. And tomorrow they could tell you what you were talking about. So, you know, we really have to get back to some of the the grounding principle things that kept us as communities across Trinidad and Tobago, across the Caribbean, you know, because our young people are growing up without these principles and they're just becoming a law unto themselves and becoming, you know, what society is now. And we don't want that to continue. And so we're calling on all the agencies, whether you be security agencies like the TTPS, the Army, Coast Guard, whomever you are, the education system. We're calling on the government. We're calling on corporate societies to come together and come up with ways. Because remember, they also impact your lives. They impact your businesses. They impact the way you teach. They impact the way you govern. They impact the way you make policies in Trinidad and Tobago. So how about we come together and we come up with some type of initiative?
Even in the communities, business owners, they can as well, you know, have some kind of forum or initiative to have young people become entrepreneurs as well. So, you know, it could be within the community. We don't have to, you know, do it on a holistic level. Yeah, simple within the community.
That's right. And most communities on the island of Tobago, you'll find some type of business, even if it is a small business.
Yes.
Even if you have a parlor and the young people are coming there to shop, how was your day? How you going? How's school? How your mommy? Have those types of conversations with them. Make them feel as if they are important. They are seen. They're a part of something that is happening, you know, and make them, you know, feel like, well, this is my parlor. This is the parlor in my village and I belong here. And so to bring back that sense of pride and ownership where they are concerned. But I'd really love to see an island-wide drive on a consistent basis, not just because of a situation. You know, something on a consistent basis where we can roll out activities and events and initiatives that really draw young people in and turn their eye away from that. Something that can teach them a skill. Or even if it's a life skill, it doesn't necessarily have to be a skill where they could ply a trade, but even a life skill that will help them to be more balanced and that will help them as they progress in life with their learning and the way they communicate with their peers in the classroom, when they go to work, how they dress. You know, it's very, very important how you look, because how you look determines how people are going to treat you. You know, and, you know, all of these things are very, very important. And so we're calling on all the powers that be, including myself, yourself, Biana, Tobago Updates Television as well. Everybody come on board, because Tobago belongs to all of us and we want to get it back to where we want it to be. Thank you so much for joining me on set this morning again, Biana, and going through the paces with me this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, this is where we have to end the morning show here on Tobago Updates Television, but it is not where we end our programming. We head on over to GMT, which is Good Morning Tobago, and we do hope that you can stay with us. And while you stay, of course, we invite you to help us. Share the live, share the live, share the live.
Tobago. This morning I want us to explore some background to the modern Tobago House of Assembly. You may have heard that we are approaching the 250th year of the Parliament being in Tobago. That's the institution called the Tobago House of Assembly, because that existed long before we became an independent nation. However, the modern Tobago House of Assembly came as a result of a motion moved in 1977 by former President, Prime Minister and Chairman of the THA, A.N.R. Robinson. Owing to that motion, the THA Act of 1980 instituted the modern Tobago House of Assembly, and Mr. Robinson went on to leading the very first installation of the modern Tobago House of Assembly some 44 years ago. That act came with significant limitations, particularly with regards to the structure of the Tobago House of Assembly. You may not know that with that first installation between 1980 and 1996, A.N.R. Robinson started as a president the habit of calling leaders in the various divisions secretaries, but there were actually no regulation or law that allowed for that until 1996. That is to tell you how limited the structure of the THA was a little better than perhaps a county council, and some will argue it wasn't much better than a county council. As a result, in 1996, the same A.N.R. Robinson, after forming a coalition with the then UNC led by Basdio Pandey in the 1772 arrangement, he decided that he would bring before the House Act 40 of 1996, and that's the Parliament. And that is the act upon which the current installation of the Tobago House of Assembly operates. Between 1980 and 1996, we had a chairman leading the Tobago House of Assembly, and as of 1996, we have a chief secretary that leads the Tobago House of Assembly. And that's why we made the distinction that A.N.R. Robinson was the first chairman of the THA, and Mr. Hochoy Charles was the first chief secretary of the THA. Now, why do we want more? Isn't the Act 40 of 1996 sufficient? And the answer is no. It's not sufficient because it still did not realize the dream as mooted before the Parliament in 1977. It still does not accord unto the people of Tobago the constitutional authority to actually manage and govern ourselves. It does not give us the right to pass laws governing things that are important to the people of Tobago and that will actually have command over the space that is Tobago. And so this is about ensuring that Tobagonians can truly self-actualize, politically that is, in this space called Tobago. It is about ensuring that the government you vote for can actually pass meaningful laws that will improve your life and your livelihoods here in Tobago. And let me give you some quick examples. In November of 2021, the Tobago House of Assembly unanimously agreed that we should send a bill down to Parliament that will accord unto the Tobago House of Assembly the authority to create and implement policies to govern marine parks in the Tobago space. Guess what? We are in 2024 and that bill has never made its way onto the parliamentary floor, which simply means that the Parliament just does not care about the things that are priority for Tobago. But that is a priority matter for Tobagonians because we are about sustainable tourism. We are about protecting our blue assets in the marine space. But we can't do that because we just don't have the authority to do so. And there are so many other areas of our lives that just simply require someone from Trinidad, from the central government, to authorize it or to allow it to happen. And sometimes that slows the progress here on island. A more current example is what's happening at the Registrar General's office. Once upon a time, we used to be able to get a birth paper in a matter of some minutes. The death certificate in a matter of some minutes. If there was an error on the certificate, it could be corrected here in Tobago. However, some colonial-minded public servants in Trinidad felt that, look, that was too much power to give to Tobago. So you know what happens now? If there's an error on your death certificate, you have to literally apply here in Tobago and wait about 6 weeks to get it corrected, or take a flight, go to Trinidad and get it the same day in Trinidad. This kind of disparity in services being available to the people of Tobago versus the people in Trinidad adds to the reason why we need to now update and upgrade Act 40 of 1996. Because we are separated by geography. We have distinct cultures. We have distinct ambitions, different cultures. And of course, the distance between us means that if we have to have one country where there is equality between the two islands and the people living on both islands must enjoy equally the same levels of service, it means that we have to have the authority here in Tobago to deliver those services to the people of Tobago in a timely fashion. And that's why when the consultations were done, the extensive consultations by former Chief Secretary Orville London, one of the matters that came up was a matter of a distinct public service in Tobago to treat with public service matters. So all our public officers who are waiting on appointments, who are waiting on approval for sick leave, like our teachers, waiting on appointment for sick leave, sometimes for donkey years, just waiting on someone in Trinidad to just sign off on it. That cannot be how we run a country, where if you live on the larger island, you can get the same service in a matter of some days. But if you live in Tobago, you wait forever to get that service. And some people think that that's okay. That is not okay. And so this call for greater autonomy is really about putting in the hands of Tobagonians this opportunity to take charge and to manage our destiny, to ensure that we have access to services and quality care from our government here on island in a timely fashion. We're not interested in disrupting what happens in Trinidad and the government flow in Trinidad or governance flow in Trinidad. It's about providing quality access to the people of Tobago in a timely manner. And there you have it, the trajectory from 1980 to then 1996 and where we are at present. This was another episode of Auto Focus. The next time you will hear from me is on Friday morning when we look at auto correct and we look to correct some misinformation in the space. But for now, at least you understand the progression of the Tobago House of Assembly and where we are and where we need to go. Please have a productive week ahead. God bless you.
morning, and welcome back to Good Morning Tobago right here on Tobago Updates. I am your host, Chanel Felix, and you know whenever you see me sitting here, it's because we're about to have those conversations that you want to have while I ask those questions that you want asked. But before we get into this morning's interesting conversations, let's have our news in 90 seconds. Opposition leader Kamala Persad-Bissessar criticized the announcement of Stuart Young as Dr. Keith Rowley's successor, calling it undemocratic. During a UNC meeting last night, she dismissed the decision as merely replacing one ineffective leader with another and likened it to the U.S. political scenario involving Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, predicting similar electoral defeat for the People's National Movement. Persad-Bissessar also reiterated her earlier critique of Dr. Rowley's leadership, labeling his legacy as one of failure and division. She called for crime and eroding public institutions. She called for early elections, accusing the People's National Movement of mismanaging the economy, exacerbated crime, and eroding public institutions, which she claims has pushed the country towards a state of chaos. Additionally, at the end of a 2-day parliamentary retreat in Tobago, Stuart Young, Minister of Energy and Minister in the Office of the Prime Minister, was selected to succeed Dr. Rowley's as the party's leader. Young expressed deep gratitude to his colleagues and Dr. Rowley for their trust and support during this pivotal transition. However, in a social media statement, Young reiterated his pride in the People's National Movement and committed to working with all citizens of Trinidad and Tobago to shape the nation's future. Dr. Rowley confirmed his decision to step down, highlighting the caucus's unanimous backing of Young and ensuring a seamless leadership transition. And finally, political analyst Dr. Winford James observed shifting dynamics in the People's National Movement after Minister Young was endorsed by the Parliamentary Caucus to succeed Dr. Rowley as Prime Minister. Rowley, who announced his impending retirement, views Young as a knowledgeable and articulate successor aligned with the PNM's agenda. Dr. Winford James highlighted Young's role in strategic initiatives like positioning Point Lisas for Venezuelan gas, but raised concerns about party-wide support. James also predicted potential ethnic tensions arising from the decision, signaling challenges for the PNM as it navigates this leadership transition. And that was our news in 90 seconds. Now we're going to take a quick break right here, and we'll be back with much more conversation. See you soon.
When the game is on, you don't want to miss the best moments. With Amplia TV, you can enjoy our ultimate sports package and watch your favorite games on the go. Stay connected and informed with sports news, scores, and stats with Amplia's fastest internet speeds. Up to 1 GB fiber internet, you can stream riveting football action, cricket, NBA games, and much more. With Amplia, it's game on. Visit amplia.co.tt or call 800-4663. Amplia. Do more, live more.
A brand new morning, rise up to a brand new dawning. As the passion start to rise, the energy fill the skies. I say thanks for favor to wake up and hear me neighbor. 60,000 people strong.
Good morning and welcome back to Good Morning Tobago right here on Tobago Updates. As indicated, this morning we'll be having a number of interesting conversations, and to start those conversations off, we are talking about the state of emergency that we're currently under here in Trinidad and Tobago and its impact on the Tobago hotel sector. Now, to have this conversation with me this morning, I have the privilege of chatting virtually with Mrs. Kay Trotman, who is the president of the Tobago Unique Bed Breakfast Self-Catering Association. Good morning and welcome. So you have highlighted that this SOE has severely disrupted some of the bookings, particularly domestic bookings, for the hotel sector here in Tobago. We're having a bit of a difficulty hearing you. Is your microphone on? No, I'm not quite hearing you. Let's take a quick break and we'll come back as we allow our guests to adjust her audio. See you soon, guys. Good morning and welcome back. We are happy to have our guest back with us, Mrs. Kay Trotman, who is the president of the Tobago Unique Bed Breakfast and Self-Catering Association. And we are talking about the impact of the state of emergency on Tobago's hotel sector. Good morning and welcome back. I am still having difficulty hearing you. Can you?
My mic is all the way up.
Okay, I'm hearing you now. Thank you so much. Okay. So, as indicated previously, you stated in your release that this state of emergency has had a negative impact on bookings here in Tobago. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Well, speaking on behalf of the smaller properties, and I did indicate that there was some negative impact from the SOE, a small amount. I indicated that a minimum amount of our properties did indicate that the SOE caused some of their clients who they already had in-house to leave earlier than planned. However, bookings have not been affected as yet for the Carnival or Easter period, or were the bookings that were made over the Carnival period, that period just after the SOE, were they affected? They were not affected.
Okay. And why is it important for this to be managed in such a way that some of the smaller properties are not negatively impacted? And how should that be managed?
Well, not just for the smaller properties. SOEs, by their very nature, implies some degree of restriction, and there's a perception that visitors would have once you hear things like a state of emergency. Folks would be concerned, is it safe to travel? Is it safe at the destination? What is the level of movement they can do on the destination? So but that by their very nature, SOE will cause some apprehension among potential travelers. What we need to do is to ensure that we manage the communication that goes out there so as to reassure potential travelers that it is safe to come to Tobago. It is safe to be moving around, even though there is a state of emergency, to give our potential visitors and visitors that happen to be in our space at this time the real reassurance is that it is a precaution that is at the national level, but at the level of destination Tobago, we remain unaffected and to ensure, put in place things that actually visible things, like the presence of our tourism-oriented police at our various tourism sites, that our visitors and potential visitors can see and feel a level of security and safety.
Right. You also suggested stakeholder collaborations. What does that look like for your organization?
Well, we all want to be saying the same message. We do not want to be one set of stakeholders saying all is well and another set of stakeholders proclaiming doom and gloom. So we need to be singing, as the old people would say, from the same hymn sheet, that Tobago is safe at the moment, and we will continue to ensure that it remains safe. We are looking at the messaging that our property owners must give to our guests in terms of reassuring them that all is still well on Tobago despite the state of emergency.
Right. And what have you been advising some of your members to do during this time?
Well, one of the things is to definitely look at what the Division of Tourism and TTAL especially has been putting out there as the information that we need to reassure our guests with, staying abreast with them, indicating to them that yes, we answer them quite truthfully, quite tactfully at the same time, reassuring them of the do's and don'ts of moving around, which are some of the normal things we would advise them on, how to take precautionary measures, places not to necessarily visit, that sort of thing. So that we have been doing that, and we are indicating to our members that they need to stay abreast with communiques that the THA or TTAL would be putting out on the whole issue.
Right. And have you had any communication with TTAL in regards to having that destination marketing campaign and everything like that set up?
Not really. What we are expecting them to do, in fact, we have seen them doing a bit of that on their site, their website, in terms of the information that they put out there. But like I said, it is not a one and all thing. There needs to be that continued sort of communication going out there. So I'm expecting that the THA, and I'm expecting especially that TTAL, would continue to engage us as stakeholders and keeping us abreast, finding out from us how we are being impacted by the whole episode, and doing real time, as it were, any real time adjustment that needs to take place.
Excellent. And so when it comes to the data on the numbers, whether it be increase or decrease, has your organization taken responsibility for gathering that data to possibly send it to TTAL and the other tourism institutions?
Yes, we will. Whatever impact we would suffer, if we do, and when we do, we will be taking note of those so that we can pass that information on to the relevant stakeholders as we look at addressing going forward.
Excellent. Well, we want to thank you so much for coming on this morning and representing the Tobago Unique Bread and Breakfast and Self-Catering Association, and making sure that you echo the sentiments of the industry. Again, we want to thank you for that. We're going to take a quick break right here, and we're going to be back right after this. So see you soon.
Hear me, neighbor, 60,000 people strong, and the vibes is
Join us this Thursday, January 9th at 5 p.m. for a special year in review program. We'll recap the significant strides made by the Division of Infrastructure, Quarries, and Urban Development. Hear directly from Assemblyman Trevor James and Assemblyman Terrence Baines as they discuss the successes, challenges, and future plans for Tobago's infrastructure. Don't miss this opportunity to learn more about the transformation of Tobago's landscape. Tune in live on Tobago Updates Television.
Tobago Glass Supplies has been a leading name for over 37 years in the glass and aluminum market in Tobago. We provide an extensive range of high-quality, innovative aluminum and glass products for commercial and residential use. Competitive prices with superior and professional services by committed employees who are guided by rigid quality standards. Tobago Glass Supplies specializes in the manufacture and installation of glass and aluminum products that are essential to today's homeowners and the business environment. We are engaged in marketing, sales, and installation of a variety of products. These ranges from windows and doors to necessities such as mirrors for homes and vehicles, designed and manufactured in-house or imported.
MI4 Security Services Company is the most advanced security service in Tobago. Ask about our cash and transit service. It's safe, risk-free, reliable, and timely. We provide safe banking delivery for all business types and sizes with highly trained staff, 24/7 monitoring, coordinated emergency response, and a well-maintained fleet of armored vehicles. Contact us at 660-7723 or visit our website at www.mi4securitytt.com to sign up today.
Morning, morning, good morning, morning. Put a smile on your
Good morning, and welcome back to Good Morning Tobago right here on Tobago Updates. Now we are chatting a bit about what has been happening on the political scene. Now we saw that the conversation was very prevalent in the media yesterday in regards to that press conference that Dr. Keith Rowley did, where he made his official announcement that his successor would be Minister Stuart Young. Now, this morning we have the comments and perspectives of Dr. Bishnu Raghunath, who is a political analyst, and we are chatting this morning on the Prime Minister's handover. Good morning, Dr. Raghunath, and welcome.
Yeah, good morning to your viewers and listeners.
Right. Now, that announcement was made yesterday, and we have heard a number of perspectives coming from all sectors of the society. But one of the key conversations happening has to do with how constitutionally sound was the decision for the caucus, the parliamentary caucus, to make such a decision, as opposed to waiting on the PNM's convention to make a decision that the entire party subscribes to or supports.
Well, yeah, okay, so it's two different things entirely that you're talking about here. In the notion with regard to the issue of the constitutionality of the selection of a prime minister, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. What the Constitution says quite clearly that the president will elect a prime minister who commands a majority of the members of the lower house or the House of Representatives. To that end, once we know that the lower house has 41 members, once you have the command of 21 of those 41 members, then you command a majority. That has absolutely nothing to do with the PNM or as a political party or the UNC or anybody else. It has to do with the members of the House of Representatives, and of the 41 members, once we can get somebody who could command the majority, 21, then that person is appointed prime minister. So that becomes important. For instance, supposedly we have a coalition government or any of those other issues. It doesn't necessarily mean that the leader of a party will become the prime minister. The president can choose anybody who the president believes commands. So that's separate and distinct from what General Council and the PNM will do, as opposed to their political leader. And that aspect of it is a whole different discussion that goes outside the realm of constitutionality of Trinidad and Tobago, but goes towards the realm of the constitution
of the PNM. Right, exactly, because what I was talking about is the PNM's constitution and their party's caucus. So when we look at what was done, yesterday, that transition, does that say to the public that even before the next election, Stuart Young is the prime minister based on the parliamentary caucus of him being the prime minister?
As soon as Keith Rowley hands in his resignation to the president, that he is no longer willing to serve as prime minister, the president has no other choice but to appoint a prime minister, and she will then fall back to Stuart Young, because by which time I'm almost certain, probably even coming out of yesterday's meeting, a letter would have already been drafted to the president with all 21 members of the PNM signing, affixing their signature, saying that they support Stuart Young. So as soon as Keith Rowley hands in his letter of resignation, the president will appoint Stuart Young as the next prime minister.
And going back to the party's constitution and how the convention may be treating with this, do you see anywhere where there is a conflict between what is happening here within the parliamentary caucus and the actual PNM's constitution?
Well, it's two different things, as I said before. How the PNM goes about choosing its political leader, and that is something we really have to hear about. When I say hear about, let me back up a little bit. In all that we've heard Keith Rowley said yesterday about Stuart Young being the next prime minister, did he say that he's resigning as political leader and that Stuart Young is going to be the next political leader? No. I did not hear political leader of the PNM come into play. I heard the discussion yesterday about the prime minister, but not about political leader. The constitution of the PNM tells us that the convention, on a one-man, one-vote basis, will elect a political leader. Keith Rowley yesterday went on to suggest that the convention will be held on the 28th of September. That is, I mean, he is still political leader. He could say that. But herein comes the question. If he decides to resign earlier than the 28th of September as political leader, which I expect that he will do, if he's resigning as prime minister, I expect that he will probably resign as political leader at the same time. Then that throws the PNM into some degree of convulsions in determining how they will select or elect a political leader. Now, we know that the PNM Constitution tells us that in the absence of a convention, which is the highest decision-making body of the PNM, there's a general council that will make the decision as to, or make decisions in the intervening period between the conventions. The general council, who leads the general council? As far as I'm aware, it's the chairman of the party, as well as the general secretary, with the political leader. We will note it was the chairman and the political leader who last October decided to cancel the convention that they had proposed without even discussing it with general council. So the political leader and the chairman has significant powers. And it was only after they decided to cancel it that they went to general council. And general council told them, well, you all can't cancel it. And that is why we came back with the general secretary, Foster Cummins, coming back out and saying, we are postponing it. We're not canceling it. So there was a difference between what the political leader, the chairman, and the general secretary had agreed to, but when they went to general council told them no. My question now is whether or not general council has the fortitude now to tell the political leader, as well as the chairman of the party and the general secretary, that we need to have an elected political leader before we go into the general elections. Because as it stands right now, what the Prime Minister proposed yesterday, the 28th of September, that would have been clearly after the general elections would have been called in Trinidad and Tobago. The parliamentary term ends on the 28th of August. Yes, there's the legal available time, 3 months thereafter. But when you consider our other constitutional requirements in Trinidad and Tobago, that is, the passing of a budget must be done before the end of October. A parliament should be in place at the beginning of October. And for a parliament to be in place at the beginning of October, the latest you could call an election is 3 weeks before. So for a general election, that is. So that means that the general election must be held at latest in the first week or by the middle of September. Keith Rowley yesterday said the convention will be held on the 28th, which will be post-general election. So from that perspective, I don't know whether he has assumed, Keith Rowley that is, has assumed that he could speak fully on behalf of General Council or on behalf of the convention. I don't know, but that will be something that the PNM as a political party, as an organization, will have to determine and to say how much power does the political leader and the chairman exercise over the matters. Now, parent is Stuart Young. I mean, he wouldn't mind, but there's a constitution.
Right, and when we look at internal party elections, we know that that usually causes some level of division within the party. Do you think that it is a strategy of the People's National Movement to ensure that that type of potential chaos doesn't happen prior to a major election?
Now, again, let me correct you. you keep talking about the People's National Movement refusing it. I am not saying that the PNM has said that. I am saying that the political leader and the
Right.
chairman has said that.
Right.
It is not the party. I am still waiting for the party to come out formally and say whether or not they have accepted that. What we know, and you rightly have said it, I have seen circulated on social media this morning a list of 9 people supporting Penelope Beckles and a list of 11 people supporting Stuart Young as the person to be appointed Prime Minister. I don't know whether that social media post has any validity, but the point about it is clearly there's already a division in the PNM. And that division could be exacerbated once we get into a full-blown convention when there's an election. So clearly the PNM would like to avoid that distraction. Whether that will happen, we'll have to wait and see.
Right. And what do you say to the persons who are saying this is not really the business of the general public or any other political party, but this is the business of the persons who pay their dues and identify themselves as being members of the PNM party?
I totally agree with that. It is only the PNM. And that is why I am not jumping in there and saying anything different. It is the PNM, and that's why I keep saying it is the PNM which has to come out and say that. It is not for the UNC, it is not for the population at large, it is not for the president, it is for the PNM as a political institution to tell the PNM membership whether they are going to abide by their constitution or whether they are going to be in breach of their own constitution. That is for the PNM and the PNM alone to decide.
Understood. And do you think that this event or this transition sets the stage for what we can see at the level of the party in the future? Do you think that a new standard is being set in regards to the transition between one prime minister to another?
Again, we have to separate these issues. Prime ministerialship is different to political leadership. So whatever happens with regard to the prime ministership, that's a whole totally different issue. How the party decides to deal with its political leader and elect its political leader and so forth, that's a matter for the party. Now, if I may just extrapolate from your question, what we could say is simply we've seen what has happened in other countries of the world. Just yesterday, we've seen the example where in the case of Canada, the Prime Minister has said, I am stepping down, but before I go fully, I am allowing the party to elect a new political leader who will take over as Prime Minister. We did not only see it there, we saw it in England when Boris Johnson had given up power, and so on. On several occasions in England, they changed their political leader before they changed their prime minister. Keith Rowley has decided he's going to put the cart before the horse. That is his choice. As to whether the party, the PNM as a party, is going to accept that, that is for the PNM to say.
Do you have any predictions, particularly on when we might be looking at going into a general election this year?
Okay, so I could start with the cutoff date. I've already alluded to that we must have a general election before the first weekend in September, okay? Or at latest by the middle of September. We can't have it beyond that, okay? But let's come forward. So anytime we've heard, for instance, again yesterday, the Prime Minister has said that he's going to conduct screening for the remaining members of his the outstanding members of his party candidates by the end of January. So I'm using the end of January as my cutoff date for that. By the end of January, the PNM will have in place its full slate of candidates. If we are to take that as a given, the earliest possible time for an election after that would be the middle of April. middle of March, 2 weeks after Carnival. But having said that, you have to look at the religious calendar too. Some people have said that the Islamic community in Trinidad and Tobago will be celebrating the month of Ramadan, ending, for instance, I think the date I was told was the 28th of March. So, assuming that the Prime Minister and the PNM decides to abide by that, I am projecting that the election will be held anytime between April 1st and, let's say, September the 1st. So that period is when the election will be held. Yeah, the other aspect of it, for instance, is when will the Prime Minister resign? Because the Prime Minister has said that he will leave the calling of the election date to the new Prime Minister.
Right.
So I am assuming that, knowing the way that Trinidad works, I'm assuming that Pedro will resign as Prime Minister probably around Carnival. We like Bacchanal around Carnival time, so that might be a good time for him to resign. And thereafter, if he resigns at that point in time, bearing in mind that we're still looking at April, May, June, July, August, that 5-month period. But I am projecting that Stuart Young will need some time to get his feet on the ground. So probably I am looking at we probably go back sometime around June, July for an election. But again, it will be held anytime between the beginning of April and the beginning of September.
Understood. Well, we're going to take a quick break right here, and we'll be back as we continue our conversations right after this season.
Thousand people strong, and the vibes is never wrong. We have beauty, we have power.
When the game is on, you don't want to miss the best moments. With Amplia TV, you can enjoy our ultimate sports package and watch your favorite games on the go. Stay connected and informed with sports news, scores, and stats with Amplia's fastest internet speeds. Up to 1 GB fiber internet, you can stream riveting football action, cricket, NBA games, and much more. With Amplia, it's game on. Visit amplia.co.tt or call 800-4663. Amplia. Do more, live more.
a brand new dawning as the passion start to rise. The energy fill the skies. I say thanks for favor to wake up and hear my neighbor. 60,000 people strong.
Good morning, and welcome back to Good Morning Tobago right here on Tobago Updates. Now, we have been chatting a bit about the handing over of the prime ministerial position from Dr. Keith Rowley to MP Stuart Young. And this morning we have been having that conversation with Dr. Bishnu Raghunathan. Welcome back. Good morning. Now, we heard from the opposition leader last night when she indicated that this move from Dr. Rowley was akin to one made by Joe Biden as he anointed Kamala Harris to succeed him. Do you agree with this, or do you see the parallels being drawn here?
Well, there are parallels to the fact that Keith Rowley has decided that he is going to step down, and he had made that suggestion a long time ago, and he's following through on it. As opposed to Biden, who had decided he is not going to step down, but rather is going to run out the term and probably face the next election. Keith Rowley, in this particular case, however, has anointed Stuart Young in the same way Biden would have anointed Kamala Harris, and both Kamala Harris and Stuart Young did not go through the internal election process of their respective political parties. So yes, there are parallels. I hope, however, that, well, I don't know whether, I did not hear the leader of the opposition, but if we continue with parallels, for instance, one of the things that we know for a fact as a parallel that happened with Kamala Harris was that when she took over from Biden, she could not divorce herself from the Biden policies, having been Biden's vice president for the last 4 years. So for all intents and purposes, she had to take ownership of all of those policies. In the same way, I expect Stuart Young to take ownership of all the policies that the government would have taken over the last 10 years. And thereafter, and thereupon, he will now have to take and take all the blame with it. He cannot say that was Keith Rowley and this is now me. He has to simply say that this is a continuation of the party. Whether that would be a good thing or a bad thing for the PNM, we really have to wait and see. But for all intents and purposes, we'll watch and see that Stuart Young is the protege of Keith Rowley. Keith Rowley has been his only master, so to speak. If they had chosen, for instance, a Penelope Beckles, we could have said that Penelope had trained under both Patrick Manning and Keith Rowley. But in the case of Stuart Young, we could only say that his only master, his only guru would have been Keith Rowley. So we really have to wait and see whether he's simply a replica of Keith Rowley or whether he would try to chart some different course that will give people the confidence that this is a different PNM. Of course, bearing in mind that Keith Rowley has already screened the majority of candidates for the next general election, and what we know for a fact is simply that from the sitting MPs, more than 75% of them thus far have been there before. The one thing that Stuart Young cannot claim is that he's leading a new party, because for all intents and purposes, this is the same PNM that Keith Rowley would have minted.
Right, and one of the questions that I see continuing to pop up on social media is why not a woman? Do you think that this current PNM administration is ready to have a woman as their leader?
That is again left to the membership of the PNM. I will not dare go there. I am not a member of the PNM. That is the PNM's decision. Membership. Go back to the Constitution. One man, one vote. One woman, one vote. That is the membership of the PNM will have to determine who becomes their next leader.
And I'm guessing your answer may be around the same area when we look at some of the conversations surrounding potential racial tensions that might arise within the People's National Movement. How are you feeling about that particularly?
Well, this is a nice question yesterday I joked about it a lot. The PNM is known as to be an Afro party, an Afro-based party. The leadership, the membership, the rank and file, largely Afro-based. Won't it be interesting if we now have a chairman of the party who is non-Afro? And since he is chairman, I don't think that he will become political leader because he's already holding the post of chairman. Only if he resigns as chairman and runs as political leader. But what happens if one of the other deputy political leaders, and there are only two who could become, there are four deputy political leaders. There's your Anselm Dennis from Tobago, there's Rohan Sinanan, there's Colleen Burt, and there's Nayan Gatsby Dolly. So what happens if the party decides to go after or select Colleen Burt, which will take totally away from the face of the PNM that color issue? Wouldn't that be interesting? Well, to me, it would be very much so interesting. But we really have to wait and see, because two things, again, noted. Jennifer Baptiste Primus said yesterday that she does not believe that if the Stuart Young goes up in a national convention, in a PNM's convention, that he will succeed. Clearly, I think the race matter will pop its head up there. Yesterday again, too, we saw where the cabinet, well, again, this is from unofficial social media posts, where they're saying that 9 out of the 20 members of the House of Representatives voted for Penelope Beckles and 11 voted for Stuart Young. That division is clear yesterday, it has been clear yesterday, and that division will continue. How the PNM membership and rank and file decides to deal with it, we really have to wait and see. But clearly, I don't think that Keith Rowley is an Eric Williams. Let me just put it like this. In that, I don't think whatever Keith Rowley says, the PNM the membership will simply accept it. That was the case with Eric Williams, but I'm not sure Keith Rowley is an Eric Williams to have that kind of control over the party. So we'll really wait and see what the rank and file says in terms of who will be their next political leader when given the opportunity. And I think Keith Rowley is fearful of that. That is why he has proposed the 28th of September as the date for the next PNM convention.
All right, and thank you so much, Dr. Raghunath. But as we close up our discussion this morning, I want to thank you for bringing those perspectives and being very careful not to get too much into the business of the People's National Movement and leaving that for their membership to deal with. But it's clear that we are in the swing of the election season, although the bell has not yet rung. We know that election is right around the corner. Do you have any comments on that before you go?
Well, basically, we are into an election year. As far as I know, in Trinidad, the two major political parties are gearing up for that battle. In the case of Tobago, again, the two major parties in Tobago are gearing up for that battle. When that will come, we'll have to wait on Stuart Young to tell us the date. But the point about it is that preparation for this election has started a long time ago. And it will culminate on election day. I suspect changes in the PNM, in the PNM's leadership, may have some impact on how some voters may think. I suspect that. As to whether it will come to pass or not, But I could tell you that a lot of Trinidad and Tobago right now feels alienated from the political scene simply because they have to bear upon various other types of pressures of crime, the pressures of the economy, and when the election bell is rung, then they'll go headlong into an election. Right now, however, focus is on carnival and then crime and the economy.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Guys, we want to thank you so much for being a part of this morning's discussion. And again, thank you to Dr. Raghunath for joining us this morning. And we want to thank you for all that you have been doing to make Tobago Updates the #1 broadcaster here on the island of Tobago. Thank you for your likes, your shares, and your comments. And we want you to have a great day.